Are you new to drumming, especially drumming with these drumsticks? Whether you're learning to play the drum set, the snare drum, the Brazilian snare drum called the caixa, or any other instrument that requires you to play with drumsticks, this video should be very helpful to you. I'm Philip Galinsky, founder and director of Samba New York, and in this lesson, I'll be teaching you 5 exercises that will help you play with dynamics. What are dynamics? In music, we can define dynamics as how loudly or softly we play in the piece of music. So it can apply to the piece of music as a whole. It can apply to each individual instrument or voice within the music. As musicians, if we want to have a certain amount of versatility, it's very important that we're able to play with dynamics. In other words, we're able to play very loud, we're able to play very quietly, and we're able to play in that spectrum in between. Now, in this lesson, I'll just be talking about 2 basic volume levels: loud or accented notes and quiet or unaccented notes, okay? Remember that there's a lot more to dynamics than just this, but this is a great starting point if you're new to playing with drumsticks, okay? So to demonstrate just how important dynamics are to music in general, we're going to use an example from samba. So in samba, we have 4 main beats. In other words, we count samba in units of 4 beats: 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth and so on. Each one of those main beats can be subdivided into 4 smaller beats, which we would notate in conventional European notation as 16th notes. But they're not evenly spaced, so we can't really call them 16th notes, or we can if we want to, but they're not 16 notes per se because of that, the way that they're phrased, essentially. And that helps create the samba swing, right? We're not going to be dealing with swing or the special phrasing in samba or Brazilian music in this video. We're just going to be playing those subdivisions completely straight on the grid, if you will. All right? But just to demonstrate how important dynamics are, I'm going to play what I consider to be the most basic pattern for samba on the Brazilian snare drum, the caixa. And I'll be using, throughout this lesson, I'll be using this beautiful practice pad by Contemporânea. Okay, it's called the 12-inch multi-pad. And I'll be playing with the samba swing here just so you can hear how samba, is supposed to sound. But before I do that, I just want to demonstrate the dynamics we'll be using here. So if we have 4 smaller beats or subdivisions per main beat, in my understanding anyway, of these basic samba subdivisions, we're going to be accenting the first subdivision, and we're going to be accenting the 4th subdivision, but not as loud as the first one, and we're going to be playing the 2nd and 3rd subdivisions with no accent at all. So accent, no accent, no accent, accent, but not as loud as the first accent. All right, so in other words, that sounds like this: 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1. Okay? Now, if we add some samba swing to that, it's going to sound something like this: 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Okay? So you could hear the dynamics at play, right? We had two loud notes or 2 accented notes and 2 quiet notes or unaccented notes, right? We have loud, soft, soft, loud, loud, soft, soft, loud, loud, okay? Now, if we were to play the same pattern with no dynamics, all at the same loud volume, it would sound like this: 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Okay? So it's clearly not the same. It's not better or worse. It's just not the same. And if we want to have some versatility in our playing, dynamics are a critical part of that. So in other words, we should be able to play at different volume levels as the music calls for or as we wish, right? So as a starting point in this lesson, we'll be working with just making a broad distinction between loud notes and quiet notes. Of course, in music, we want to be able to play within that broad spectrum, from very quiet to very, very loud. But here, as to start with, we're just going to work on playing just loud notes and quiet notes, accented notes and unaccented notes. Okay, so you can see that when we were playing these basic samba subdivisions with no accents, it didn't sound so much like samba anymore, right? As soon as we add the accents, okay, we hear a certain contour to the rhythm, all right? Now, so let's jump right into these exercises. We'll be using the subdivisions of a 4-beat measure or cycle as our reference point for these exercises. But as I said, these exercises will not be played with the samba feel or samba swing. We're just going to be playing them straight. Okay, so the first, actually, before we get to that, if you're new to drumming, and I assume you are if you're here in this video, I highly recommend that you check out the first 2 lessons on stick technique that I posted previously to the channel. You can just go to our stick technique playlist and watch both of the ones that are up there so far. This lesson will presuppose that you know the 4 basic strokes that I demonstrate in that first tutorial. And just as a very quick review, let's go over those strokes. So we have our full strokes or our bounce strokes or free strokes, whatever you'd like to call them, which start high and end high like this. We have our downstrokes, which start high and end low like this. Okay, and both of those are accented strokes, loud strokes, because in other words, if we're starting from a high point, we're going to use the stick to our advantage and take advantage of that gravity to make a louder sound. Okay, so we have our full stroke, we have our downstroke, both accented. Then we have our tap stroke, which starts low and ends low, which is unaccented. And then we have our upstroke, which starts low and ends high, which is also unaccented. All right, so we have 2 loud or accented strokes and 2 quiet or unaccented strokes. We also have a silent upstroke in which we start low and we end high, but we don't make any sound at all. We're just preparing for the next loud stroke or accented stroke. All right, so make sure you really understand those strokes and you have some familiarity with them before we move on. All right, so let's jump into exercise 1. We're going to use a metronome here. We're going to set our metronome to 50 beats per minute, which is nice and slow. And we'll set our metronome to the 8th note, okay? Because when the metronome is really slow, it's helpful to have more subdivisions to latch onto because there's a lot of space between one main beat and the other at a slow tempo. So we're going to be playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay, so that's where the metronome will be, and we're going to be playing all the subdivisions that fill up each beat. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, okay? So exercise 1 will be exactly what I just played, which will be just the quiet or tap strokes for all the subdivisions, okay? So here we go. Follow along with me. 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Continue. Okay, so there you have it, exercise 1. Exercise 2, we'll be doing the opposite. We'll be playing all accented notes on every subdivision. In other words, all full or bounce strokes. Okay, so here we go. Exercise 2. 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Continue. Okay, exercise 3 will be a little more complicated. For exercise 3, we're going to accent each subdivision of the beat for 2 measures at a time. Okay, so the first subdivision we're going to accent is the first one. So we're going to be going 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and then for another measure, and then we'll switch to accenting the second subdivision, and then switch to accenting the third, and then the fourth. Okay, so this is our exercise 3. So one important thing to keep in mind here is that when we basically the idea is that we're going to be playing, the accented note will be either a downstroke or a full stroke, depending on whether we're playing any quieter notes in between. So if we play a downstroke, let's take the first example. So we're going to have down, tap, tap, tap. So in this case, we're going to be doing a downstroke, and then because we're going to have to play a tap next. So we play a downstroke so that we can play a quieter note next. Okay, so it's going to be down, tap, 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 down, etc. All right, so if you notice there on that last tap stroke in the left hand, I'm doing a silent upstroke at the same time so I can prepare for the next downstroke on the next beat. So that's the basic idea, is that whenever we play an accented note, at the subdivision before that accent, we're going to be doing a silent upstroke to prepare for that that accented downstroke or full stroke. Okay, so in this case we have down, tap, tap, down. Oh, sorry, down, tap, 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 down, tap, 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 and on that last tap we do a silent up. Let's take the second subdivision as an example. Tap, because already the second subdivision is going to be accented. So on that first tap in the right hand, we already have to prepare a silent upstroke in the left, because our accent will now be in the left hand. So it's going to be tap, silent upstroke at the same time, tap, down, tap, 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 down, tap, 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 down, tap, tap. Okay, so that's how that works. Now when we get to accenting, well, in the next exercise I'll explain, but in this case we're just accenting one subdivision at a time. So that's the rule to follow with that. All right, let's play that one. We're going to play each subdivision accented for 2 measures at a time. Here we go. 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Okay, so that's that exercise. Let's move on to exercise 4. In exercise 4, we're going to be accenting all the different combinations of 2 subdivisions at a time. And we'll be doing each one of those combinations for 2 measures. So the first one will be 1 E and a. The second one will be 1 E and a. So in the case of the second example, we're going to be doing a full stroke in the right hand, a tap in the left, and another full stroke. So 1 E and a. Yeah, so basically full strokes in the right hand and taps in the left hand. Okay, so you're not always going to just be doing a downstroke for the accent. You'll be doing a full stroke for the accent if the next stroke in that same hand will be also an accented note. All right, so let's do this exercise now. We're going to get to 3. The third combination, which will be 1 E and a, and then the fourth one will be 1 E and a. And then the fifth one will be 1 E and a. And the sixth one will be 1 E and a. Okay, so this one's a little trickier, but follow along with me if you can. Here we go. 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Okay, and for the final exercise, exercise 5, we'll be playing all the different combinations of 3 accented subdivisions. So the first one will be 1 E and a. The second one will be 1 E and a. The third one will be 1 E a. And the fourth one will be 1 E and a. Okay, so this is the trickiest one yet. Here we go. We'll be playing each one of these combinations for 2 measures. Here we go. 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. E and a, E and a, E and a, 1 E and a. 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 E, a 4 E, a 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 E, a 4 E, a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1. Okay? So there you have it. If you go over all these exercises and you really master them at a slow tempo, and you're really able to make a very clear distinction between an accented note and an unaccented note, you're well on your way to playing with dynamics. And this will help you not only in samba, but in any genre of music in which you need to play with dynamics, or at least accented and unaccented notes with drumsticks. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you in the next video.